Iran is currently facing one of the most intense periods of geopolitical conflict in recent history. This situation, shaped by a combination of military, political, and socio-economic factors, has not only drawn regional players into conflict, but also raised concerns of a potential large-scale war. Let's dive into what's happening, why it matters, and what it means for the world. The ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel has reached a boiling point in recent months. On October 1st, 2024, Iran launched over 180 ballistic missiles targeting key sites in Israel in retaliation for recent assassinations of Hezbollah and Hamas leaders. This marked Iran's largest missile attack in decades. Though Israel's advanced missile defense systems managed to intercept most of the missiles, some caused significant damage at military bases and civilian areas near Tel Aviv. This attack was codenamed Operation True Promise 2 and was viewed as Iran's direct response to the killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. These assassinations were part of Israel's broader efforts to neutralize key figures in the Iranian-backed Hezbollah and Hamas organizations, which Israel considers major threats to its security. Despite the scale of the attack, Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow missile defense systems intercepted the majority of the projectiles, though some damage occurred, particularly at the Nevatim air base and in civilian areas north of Tel Aviv. Israeli officials have vowed retaliation, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling Iran's actions a big mistake. Iran's influence extends through various regional proxies, most notably Hezbollah in Lebanon. Over the past year, Israel has conducted multiple military operations targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon. These operations, part of a previously undisclosed campaign, have been aimed at dismantling Hezbollah's ability to launch cross-border attacks into Israel. Hezbollah has launched several rocket attacks into northern Israel in response to Israel's strikes, making this conflict a de facto proxy war between Iran and Israel. Iran has long supported Hezbollah, providing weapons, training, and financial aid. This has contributed to a volatile situation along the Israel-Lebanon border, with both sides exchanging fire regularly in recent months. Iran's influence extends far beyond Israel. The country has played a critical role in the conflicts in Syria and Iraq, supporting militias aligned with its interests. Recently, Iran has been accused of transporting weapons through Syria to Hezbollah, further inflaming the already fragile situation in the region. Iran's activities in Iraq have also raised concerns. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq have been involved in attacks against U.S. military personnel, leading to several rounds of U.S. airstrikes on militia targets. This is part of a broader pattern of tensions between Iran and the United States, particularly over the presence of U.S. forces in the Middle East. Internally, Iran is facing significant challenges. The country's economy has been battered by years of U.S.-imposed sanctions, primarily related to its nuclear program and support for regional militias. Inflation is rampant, unemployment is high, and the value of the Iranian rial continues to plummet. These economic pressures have led to widespread discontent, with protests breaking out across the country in recent years. Politically, Iran is facing a succession crisis. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is aging, and questions about who will succeed him have created uncertainty within the political elite. This has fueled tensions between hardliners, who favor an aggressive foreign policy, and more moderate elements that advocate for engagement with the West. Iran's nuclear program remains a central issue in its relations with the West. While the country maintains that its nuclear activities are for peaceful purposes, Israel and the US have long suspected that Iran is pursuing nuclear weapons capability. Despite international efforts to negotiate limits on Iran's nuclear program, the country has continued to enrich uranium at higher levels than agreed upon in previous international deals. Israel has expressed concern that a nuclear-armed Iran would pose an existential threat to its survival, and tensions over this issue continue to shape Israeli and US policies toward Iran. In recent months, there have been reports of Israeli cyber attacks aimed at disrupting Iran's nuclear facilities, further intensifying the conflict. The situation between Iran and Israel has the potential to escalate into a broader regional conflict involving other key players such as the United States, Saudi Arabia, and even Russia. Iran's support for militias across the region, coupled with its ballistic missile capabilities, makes it a formidable regional power. Should hostilities intensify, the world could see a direct military confrontation between these nations, with potentially devastating consequences for the entire Middle East. The US has reaffirmed its commitment to Israel's defense, but it has also cautioned Iran against further escalation. The possibility of a wider conflict remains very real, especially as Iran continues to expand its influence through proxies and military operations in the region. Iran's future is uncertain. The country is grappling with both internal and external challenges that threaten its stability. The conflict with Israel is intensifying, and Iran's ambitions in the region continue to shape its foreign policy. How the situation unfolds in the coming months will depend largely on the actions of Iran's leadership, its proxies, and the responses from Israel, the US, and other regional powers. Stay tuned as this story develops, and make sure to subscribe for more in-depth analyses of global issues.